The Galactic Conclave had existed for over 3,000 years, a harmonious federation of species that had long ago abandoned the primitive instincts of competition and conflict. Their civilization spanned 17 sectors of the Milky Way, with member species ranging from the crystalline Vix to the gaseous collective consciousness of the Mefrit. They had achieved what many thought impossible, lasting peace through mutual cooperation and the shared pursuit of knowledge. When their long-range sensors detected the budding civilization on the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star, the Conclave followed standard protocol. For decades, they monitored Earth's transmissions, studying human culture from a safe distance. The broadcasts they intercepted featured primarily entertainment, nature documentaries celebrating Earth's biodiversity, cooking shows highlighting plant-based cuisine, and heartwarming tales of companionship. The Conclave's xenosociologists developed what they believed was a comprehensive understanding of humans, gentle, plant-eating creatures with a deep reverence for their world's natural beauty. In 2027, the Conclave dispatched its first official contact mission to Earth. The arrival of the sleek, silver vessel in orbit around the planet triggered global pandemonium, followed by cautious excitement. The Conclave's representatives, tall, willowy beings with iridescent skin and 4 arms, extended an invitation that humanity had dreamed of for centuries. Earth was invited to join the interstellar community. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session to determine who would represent humanity in this historic moment. Traditional diplomacy suggested sending seasoned politicians or distinguished academics. However, the Conclave's preliminary communications revealed something unexpected. The alien federation operated on principles that, while framed as cooperation, resembled complex trade networks with elaborate resource-sharing agreements. But they're not just diplomats, observed UN Secretary-General Amara Okafor during a closed session. They're essentially running the largest trade consortium in the galaxy. And we're about to enter negotiations that will determine humanity's place among the stars for generations to come. A junior advisor from the Norwegian delegation made an unexpected suggestion. Perhaps we shouldn't send politicians at all. If this is essentially an interstellar business negotiation, maybe we should send people who excel at exactly that. The proposal sparked fierce debate. Critics argued it was disrespectful to treat first contact as a business transaction. Supporters countered that Earth needed representatives who could secure the best possible position for humanity among established cosmic powers. After 72 hours of heated discussion, the Security Council reached an unprecedented decision. Earth would not send traditional diplomats to the Galactic Conclave. Instead, they would send the most formidable negotiators humanity had ever produced, the apex predators of the business world. The aliens, expecting gentle herbivores, had no idea what was coming. Jack Mercer strode into the United Nations briefing room as if he already owned it, which wasn't far from the truth. As CEO of Mercer Global, he controlled a corporate empire spanning 6 continents. At 53, Jack had orchestrated 17 hostile takeovers and was known for his signature approach: identify weakness, strike without warning, and leave no survivors in the corporate sense. His steel-gray eyes missed nothing, and his handshake, firm enough to assert dominance without triggering lawsuits, had become the stuff of Wall Street legend. "This better be important," he announced to the room. "I've got a board meeting in Shanghai tomorrow." More important than first contact with an alien civilization? Came a voice with a slight Eastern European accent. Valentina Kovic entered from the opposite door, her 6-foot frame accentuated by 4-inch heels she didn't need. The Croatian-born venture capitalist had built her reputation by identifying promising technologies, securing controlling interests, and scaling them into industry disruptors with ruthless efficiency. Her fund, Nova Ventures, had a portfolio valued at over $100 billion. At 45, Valentina had the distinction of being both the most sought-after investor in Silicon Valley and the most feared. "I was wondering who else they'd drag into this circus," she said, nodding at Jack with professional respect between predators. "The circus isn't complete without the ringmaster," announced Derek Thompson as he strolled in, removing sunglasses despite the room's subdued lighting. The 60-year-old attorney had built Thompson Legal into the most feared corporate law firm in America. His specialty was finding the gaps in seemingly ironclad contracts and regulations, then exploiting them with surgical precision. Derek hadn't lost a case in 17 years and was rumored to keep a trophy wall of corporate carcasses in his Manhattan office. "Would someone explain why I'm missing my daughter's recital for this?" Derek demanded, though his eyes betrayed intense curiosity. A nervous-looking woman in a UN uniform cleared her throat. "I'm Undersecretary Helena Chen. Thank you all for coming on such short notice. What I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest level." For the next 30 minutes, Helena outlined the situation, the Galactic Conclave, their invitation to Earth, and the Security Council's unorthodox decision to send business leaders instead of diplomats. "So let me get this straight," Jack interrupted. "You want us to negotiate humanity's entrance into some alien federation? Why us and not actual diplomats?" Helena displayed a holographic projection of complex interconnected networks. "This is the Conclave's resource allocation system. It's essentially the largest trade agreement ever created, spanning hundreds of worlds. Our diplomats are trained to seek compromise and mutual understanding. But this is..." She gestured at the hologram. "This requires people who know how to secure advantage in complex negotiations where every other party has centuries of experience." "You don't want diplomats," Valentina stated flatly. "You want sharks." Helena nodded. "Precisely. The Security Council believes that in this situation Earth's interests might be best served by those accustomed to high-stakes negotiation, where failure isn't an option." Derek was already studying the projected documents. "These agreements have more loopholes than the U.S. tax code." "Interesting." "You leave in 6 hours," Helena continued. "A conclave vessel is waiting to transport you to their central station. You'll have access to scientific and cultural advisors via quantum communication, but in the room it's just you three." "And what exactly is our mandate?" Jack asked, leaning forward with unexpected interest. Helena's expression hardened. "Secure the best possible position for Earth in this new galactic community, by any means necessary." As they left to prepare, Jack muttered to the others, "They have no idea what they've just unleashed, do they?" Valentina smiled, a predator sensing opportunity. "No, but the aliens are about to find out." The Conclave's transport vessel resembled a giant teardrop of liquid metal, its interior spaces formed from flowing curves without sharp angles or corners. For Jack, Valentina, and Derek, accustomed to the hard edges and defined boundaries of human architecture, the alien aesthetic was disorienting, which, Derek noted, immediately put them at a psychological disadvantage. Their escort, a tall being named Zuxtal, who appeared to be made of interlocking translucent plates, explained through a translation device that the journey would take approximately 30 Earth hours. "Your accommodations have been adapted to human physiology based on our research," they said, leading the team to a chamber with 3 bed-like structures. "These sleeping platforms are modeled after your herbivore resting nests," Zuxtal explained proudly. Jack exchanged glances with his colleagues. "Herbivore," he repeated. "Yes, your species' preference for plant consumption is well documented in your global information streams," Zuxtal continued. "We have prepared appropriate nutrition using synthesized versions of your planet's vegetation." Derek cleared his throat. "There seems to be a misunderstanding about human dietary needs. We're actually omnivores." Zuxtal's translation device fell silent for a moment before sputtering back to life. "Omnivores? But your educational broadcasts show such reverence for your planet's herbivorous creatures. Your popular cooking demonstrations emphasize plant matter." "Those are entertainment programs," Valentina explained, her voice clinical. "In reality, most humans consume both plant and animal proteins. We evolved as pursuit predators." The translucent plates of Zixtal's body shifted in what appeared to be the alien equivalent of discomfort. I see. I will inform the nutrition synthesizers of this oversight. The team spent the journey studying the materials Helena had provided about the Conclave's structure and member species. By the time they arrived at the massive space station that served as the Conclave's diplomatic hub, they had formulated their initial approach. The station itself was breathtaking, a massive structure of interconnected rings rotating around a central sphere, housing representatives from over 200 species. As they disembarked, they became acutely aware of being the focus of alien attention. Beings of all descriptions paused their activities to observe the humans. "They're staring at our eyes," Derek murmured. "Notice how most of them have eyes on the sides of their heads. Prey species. Forward-facing eyes with binocular vision, the mark of a predator," Jack confirmed. "And they're just realizing it." The welcoming ceremony was held in a vast chamber with a transparent ceiling revealing the glittering expanse of space. The Conclave's High Representative, a floating collection of luminous tendrils named as Shrixel, delivered what was meant to be a warm greeting. "We welcome our new friends from Earth to the peaceful community of the Galactic Conclave. For 3 millennia we have prospered through harmony and mutual advancement. We look forward to incorporating Earth's gentle wisdom into our collective journey." Jack stepped forward before the designated response time. "On behalf of Earth, we thank you for this invitation," he said, his voice carrying the same commanding tone he used in boardrooms. "We come seeking not just membership, but partnership. Earth has much to offer, but we also have much to gain. The terms of our integration will determine the value we bring to this collective." A ripple of disturbance passed through the assembly. The High Representative's tendrils pulsed in apparent confusion. "Terms? Value? We do not understand. All members share equally in the Conclave's prosperity." Valentina joined Jack, her predatory smile firmly in place. "Equal sharing sounds admirable, but surely contributions are weighted by their significance. Earth brings unique resources and perspectives. We would be doing the Conclave a disservice if we didn't ensure our contributions were properly valued." Derek moved to flank them, forming an unconscious hunting triangle that wasn't lost on the more observant aliens. "We've reviewed your membership protocols and noted several areas where clarification would benefit all parties. Perhaps we could begin with a discussion of resource rights and technology exchange parameters?" The High Representative's luminous tendrils dimmed slightly. "This is not the usual approach for welcoming ceremonies. Perhaps you misunderstand our processes." "On the contrary," Jack replied smoothly, "we understand perfectly. We're simply accelerating past the ceremonial to the substantive. Earth is eager to begin meaningful negotiations." As they were escorted to their quarters afterward, their alien guide seemed distinctly unsettled. Behind them, they could hear the buzz of hundreds of alien communications. "Did we make a good first impression?" Derek asked dryly. "We made exactly the impression we intended," Jack replied. "They expected herbivores. They got apex predators. Now let's see how they adapt." Valentina nodded, already scrolling through data on her tablet. "They're reorganizing the schedule. Miraltuin. They're bringing in their version of economic specialists. Good. Now we'll be talking to the real decision-makers." By the third day of negotiations, the Conclave representatives had abandoned all pretense of a standard integration process. The humans had flipped the script entirely, transforming what was supposed to be Earth's humble petition for membership into something that increasingly resembled a competitive bidding war. The revelation had come during what was intended as a routine resource disclosure session. Earth was expected to catalog its contributions to the collective good, but Jack had instead delivered a masterful presentation highlighting Earth's unique position. While other worlds may offer more advanced technology, he explained to the assembled aliens, Earth possesses something far more valuable, the biological diversity unmatched in the explored galaxy. Our planet hosts over 8 million distinct species, each with unique biochemical properties. A representative from the Crystalline VIX consortium interrupted, their structure vibrating with excitement. Your preliminary data suggests compounds in your coral reefs could revolutionize our crystalline growth technologies. We would offer preferential exchange rates for access to these resources. Before Jack could respond, a representative of the gaseous Mefrit collective pulsed forward. The microorganisms in your deep ocean vents contain enzymes our biochemists have theorized but never encountered. We would offer exclusive knowledge sharing from our 3,000 years of atmospheric engineering. Jack maintained a carefully neutral expression while catching Valentina's eye. They had suspected Earth's biodiversity would be valuable, but the immediate bidding was beyond their expectations. Earth is, of course, open to specialized partnerships, Jack replied smoothly, within the framework of our conclave membership. Meanwhile, Derek was doing what he did best, finding the gaps. During a recess, he cornered his colleagues in their private chamber. I've identified 17 critical loopholes in the conclave's resource-sharing protocols, he announced, projecting a complex diagram from his tablet. Their agreements were created by species with fundamentally cooperative mindsets. They never anticipated someone would look for competitive advantages. Examples? Valentina demanded, already calculating possibilities. Derek pointed to specific clauses. Their technology transfer agreements assume all parties will share improvements. There's no protection against a member receiving technology, improving it, and then claiming the improvement as proprietary. And their resource classification system has no category for intellectual property as we understand it. Valentina's eyes gleamed. So we could receive their technological knowledge. Improve it using Earth's unique approach to innovation, Jack continued. And then license the improvements back to them, Derek finished. Completely legal under their existing framework. Valentina had been conducting her own analysis. She pulled up projections of 17 solar systems within the conclave's territory. These civilizations are stagnating by our standards. They've achieved stability but lost the drive to truly innovate. Each of these systems has resource utilization inefficiencies of at least 40% compared to our best practices. Investment opportunities, Jack noted. Exactly. They have no concept of venture capital. I could deploy funds across these systems, implement Earth efficiency models, and generate returns that would make our position in the conclave unassailable within a decade. The negotiations took on a rhythm that bewildered the conclave representatives. When they expected Earth to ask for concessions, the humans instead offered solutions to problems the aliens hadn't recognized they had. When the conclave attempted to guide Earth toward standard membership terms, the humans countered with proposal packages that created entirely new categories of interspecies cooperation. By the end of the week, whispers spread throughout the station. The humans were not what the conclave had expected. They moved through negotiations like predators through tall grass, their smiles revealing omnivorous teeth, their proposals always containing multiple layers of meaning. During a particularly tense session regarding technology exchange, the representative of the insectoid Galactic hive finally voiced what many were thinking. Your approach disturbs the harmony of the conclave. You speak of partnerships but think in terms of advantages. This is not our way. Jack leaned forward, his predatory gaze fixed on the insectoid. With respect, adaptation is survival. Earth has learned this lesson through millions of years of evolution. The conclave has achieved remarkable stability. But stability without growth leads to vulnerability. We're not disrupting your harmony, we're strengthening it by introducing necessary adaptation. The chamber fell silent. For the first time, many conclave members began to wonder if perhaps these humans were exactly what their ancient federation needed. The crisis erupted without warning on the 10th day of negotiations. The Earth team entered the main chamber to find the atmosphere charged with tension. Representatives from the Draksid Imperium, a member species known for their territorial aggression before joining the conclave, had called an emergency session. The Ddracid ambassador, a massive reptilian being with iridescent scales and 4 yellow eyes, towered over the central platform. The human approach threatens the foundational principles of our Federation, he hissed through the translation system. They do not seek to join our harmony, they seek to exploit it. Murmurs rippled through the assembly as the ambassador continued. We have observed their negotiation patterns. They think like conquerors, not collaborators. The Ddracid Imperium formally requests that Earth's invitation be rescinded until these humans learn the proper approach to Conclave membership. The High Representative's luminous tendrils pulsed with concern. This is an extraordinary request, Ambassador Zez Krath. The invitation process has never been reversed in our history. Neither have we encountered a species that approaches cooperation as a competitive exercise, the Ddracid countered. If Earth will not adapt to our ways, they must be isolated until they evolve beyond their predatory instincts. Jack, Valentina, and Derek exchanged glances. This was the moment corporations on Earth dreaded a coordinated effort to force them out of a valuable market. Their instincts kicked into high gear. Derek was first to respond, stepping forward with the calm confidence that had intimidated opposing counsel for decades. The Conclave Charter, Section 47.3, clearly states that invitation rescission requires evidence of deliberate deception or hostile intent. Neither condition applies here. The Ddracid ambassador's scales darkened. Your very approach is hostile. Directness is not hostility, Derek countered. And as for our negotiation style, I direct the Assembly's attention to the Principles of Diversity clause in your own founding document, which celebrates the unique evolutionary paths of all sentient species. Earth's path created beings who seek advantage, yes, but also innovation and advancement that benefits all partners. While Derek held the floor, Valentina worked furiously on her tablet, sending encoded messages to her team back on Earth. Within minutes, she had what she needed. If I may address the Assembly, she said, stepping forward. Her voice carried the precise tone she used when delivering killing blows to competing investors. Our research team has completed a preliminary analysis of trade flows within the Conclave over the past 50 years. The data reveals that the Ddracid Imperium has received 22% more technological assistance than it has contributed. Gasps echoed through the chamber as Valentina projected the data for all to see. Furthermore, in the sectors where Earth's resources would create the greatest collective benefit directly overlap with areas where the Ddracid Imperium currently enjoys exclusive trading rights. The Ddracid ambassador's scales flared in the equivalent of a flush. This is outrageous. Where did you obtain this data? From the Conclave's public archives, Valentina replied coolly. We simply analyzed it differently. As the Ddracid spluttered denials, Jack made his move. He stepped to the center of the chamber, his presence commanding attention the way it had in countless boardrooms. Members of the Galactic Conclave. He began, his voice resonant with authority. Let's acknowledge the truth. You invited Earth expecting docile herbivores, and instead you got apex predators. Yes, humans evolved as hunters. We see opportunities where others see only stability. We seek advantage where others accept adequacy. The chamber had fallen completely silent. But consider this, the most successful predators in any ecosystem aren't the ones who deplete their resources. They're the ones who maintain balance. Earth businesses that survive for generations don't exploit their partners, they create mutual prosperity. Jack gestured toward the Ddracid ambassador. Some fear what we represent. They should. Humanity will change the Conclave, just as we've always transformed our own societies. But that change will strengthen, not weaken, this Federation. He paused, scanning the room with the calculated intensity that had broken countless corporate opponents. The question isn't whether Earth should join the Conclave. The question is whether the Conclave can afford to exclude us when the next evolutionary challenge arrives. Because it will arrive with or without humanity's help. As he stepped back, the chamber erupted in multiple species versions of discussion. The crisis had reached its pivotal moment. The High Representative called for order, luminous tendrils pulsing rapidly. We will now vote on the drastic motion to rescind Earth's invitation. The team watched as representatives signaled their positions. When the final tally appeared, even Jack couldn't suppress a smile. The motion had been rejected by an overwhelming margin. It appears, the High Representative announced, that the conclave chooses adaptation over isolation. Earth's invitation stands. As they left the chamber, the Dressid ambassador approached them, scales now a subdued blue. You manipulated the entire assembly, he hissed quietly. No, Derek corrected. We negotiated. There's a difference. The difference, Valentina added with a predatory smile, is that everyone wins, even you, Ambassador. Especially you. 6 months after the Earth delegation's return from the conclave station, the integration process was proceeding at an unprecedented pace. The terms secured by Jack, Valentina, and Derek had become the subject of academic study across a dozen disciplines, with xenopolitical scholars calling it the most asymmetrically beneficial agreement in conclave history. Earth had secured exclusive rights to develop and license improvements on shared technologies, preferential access to 17 key resource-rich systems, and special dispensation to establish what amounted to venture capital funds across the conclave. In exchange, Earth shared its biological diversity and unique approach to innovation resources that cost humanity nothing to provide. At a private celebration in a Manhattan penthouse overlooking the new conclave embassy, Jack raised a glass to his fellow negotiators, turning first contact into first conquest the corporate way. Derek chuckled. The best part is they're genuinely grateful. 3 of their oldest industries have already doubled efficiency using our management systems. And my first interstellar fund is oversubscribed by 300%, Valentina added. Turns out alien investors appreciate returns as much as human ones do. Secretary General Okafor joined their circle, looking both exhausted and elated. The conclave High Representative sent a personal message today. They've created a new position within their governing structure, Executive Advisor on Adaptive Systems. They've requested a human to fill it. They've learned to value our predatory instincts, Jack observed. Smart. Mia. More than that, the Secretary General replied. They've realized that their 3,000 years of harmony had led to stagnation. Your team didn't just secure Earth a place at the table, you changed how the entire conclave views evolution and progress. The door opened to admit a junior aide, who whispered urgently to Okafor. The Secretary General's expression cycled through surprise, concern, and finally amusement. What is it? Derek asked. The conclave has encountered a new spacefaring species in the Cygnus arm, Okafor explained. Apparently they're even more direct in their negotiating approach than humans. They want our help, Valentina surmised immediately. Okafor nodded. The High Representative specifically requested, and I quote, Earth's most predatory negotiators to advise their diplomatic team. Jack laughed out loud. So we've gone from barely tolerated newcomers to essential advisors in 6 months. Not bad. Who will you send? Derek asked. The Secretary General smiled. Actually, I was hoping the 3 of you might be interested in another interstellar assignment. The UN Security Council has authorized me to establish a permanent office of competitive diplomacy, with the 3 of you as founding directors. Valentina raised an eyebrow. Competitive diplomacy? That's an elegant euphemism for what we do. The galaxy has learned an important lesson, Okafor said. When seeking harmony among the stars, sometimes you don't need diplomats. Sometimes you need apex predators in suits. Jack raised his glass again. To humanity's place in the stars earned the old-fashioned way. By being the hungriest ones at the table, Derek finished. Beyond the window, a conclave ship glided into position above the new embassy, its lights blinking in what humans now recognized as a gesture of respect. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would Earth. The age of competitive diplomacy had begun, and humanity's predatory business instincts had proven to be their greatest asset among the stars. As the Secretary General departed to address the waiting press, Jack turned to his colleagues with a grin. "You know what the best part is? They still have no idea what happens when we actually try to take over.